going back to the start.
Next up, Arirang News.
Welcome to Arirang News. This is Soo-on. We come to you with a special coverage on the latest regarding the South Korean sunken ferry Sewol-ho. Family members, friends, and teachers bowed their heads in silent tribute in the funeral hall in Ansan, just one of 11 places where funerals for a total of 25 Tanwon High School students are scheduled to take place throughout the day. A temporary memorial altar set up by the local government was opened to the public earlier today and displayed the portraits and nameplates of 22 victims, both students and teachers, who have already been buried. The government plans to open a larger altar at a park next week at the request of the victims' families. Now on the 8th day of search and rescue operations, without a single survivor being found since the ferry's capsizing, the death toll continues to be on the rise by the hour, with 150 people confirmed dead and some 150 still missing. Most of the bodies found today have not yet been identified, but many of them are suspected to be those of the students from the Tanwon High School. The families of the missing are camping out here at the Pengmongang Harbor, clinging on to their last shred of hope as they grow restless. The rescue team succeeded in entering the vessel's cafeteria on the 3rd floor yesterday afternoon, more than a day after they secured a route. That's where many of the passengers are believed to have been at the time of the sinking because it was breakfast time when the ferry started to list. The rescue team is planning on focusing their search on the 3rd and 4th floors of the vessel, and the 4th floor, where the cabins are, is another area that authorities expect passengers to have been when the ship capsized. More than 200 rescue boats, 34 aircrafts, and some 550 rescue personnel are partaking in today's rescue efforts. Experts in Japan have run a simulation to try and determine what caused the Sewol-ho to capsize. Just 3 minutes later, the ferry set sail, and experts say that was not enough time for the crew to correctly secure the freight. A Japanese marine science and technology professor assumes that the crew tied only 2 ropes instead of 4 and may have tied things up too loosely before the departure. Japanese researchers carried out a simulation to find out what happens when a freight in a vessel is not fastened appropriately. They made a model 1/5 of the real size of the Sewol-ho and raised the center of mass in consideration of the fact that the ferry had been renovated recently. First, they ran the simulation without the cargo, and when the ship turned right with the same speed as that of Sewol-ho, the model turned sharply and leaned toward the turn due to centripetal force, but did not capsize. Next, they added some weight to the ship to account for the mass of the freight, and when given an abrupt turn, the model again tilted sharply to one side, but was able to bounce back without falling. Then they tried again, this time with the same amount of weight, but without fixing it properly. At first, it seemed to be navigating smoothly, but as soon as it made a sharp turn, it listed to one side and capsized in a matter of seconds. When the vessel made a sharp turn without its freight properly fastened, a heavier centrifugal force is applied, causing the vessel to list more outward. In extreme cases, the ship can capsize. Japanese experts say there were no time to do that in the Sewol-ho's case last week, which leads them to believe that the improper fastening of the freight may have been the main cause of the accident. In a repair request form submitted by the crew of the Sewol-ho to ferry operator, the steering gear of the now sunken ferry sending the no voltage warning signs have been where the ferry operator took no action on the issue. To use the steering equipment, the crew members said they had to reset the power button and rely on an onboard power supply while they were waiting for the power to be restored. Experts say the steering gear is key to safe sailing for a ship, that any problems with it increases the likelihood of an accident. However, Cheonghaejin Marine Company appears to have continued to allow the ill-fated Sewol ferry to operate for more than 2 weeks leading up to the accident. As the death toll continues to rise, families of victims and missing are still becoming more worried and frustrated. On a separate note, President Park Geun-hye and the Chinese President Xi Jinping are to discuss signs of North Korea preparing for the nuclear test. The United States has also been public about imposing tougher sanctions on North Korea if the communist country conducts another round of trials. This has been a special coverage on the sunken ferry down the southwest coast of South Korea. Stay tuned as we bring you more updates in the next hour, and you're listening to Arirang Radio.
Arirang Radio.
Arirang Radio.
The time is 3 p.m.
Hello everyone, you're listening to Music Access with me, Aaron of New East. Here's how you guys can listen to Arirang Radio. You can download the Arirang application on your smartphones or listen on your computers at www.arirangradio.com/musicaccess. We are also on terrestrial DMB, or if you are on Jeju-do Island, through these FM stations. Jeju is 88.7, Seogwipo is 88.1, and Daejeong is 101.9. You can also download TuneIn through Google Play or the App Store. And I would like to ask for all of our MA family members' understanding, as we will not be airing our usual corner, Go-Go Triangle, this Wednesday in the second hour. As Korea is currently stricken with grief and sorrow due to the ferry accident, we will be using this time to read some of the messages sent in to us by our listeners with their well wishes and condolences. I hope you guys continue to send me your messages to give a little bit of support for all the family and friends of the victims who went through the terrible tragedy, as well as the entire nation here in Korea, as we are all in a state of shock and grief. You can visit us at www.arirangradio.co.kr/musicaccess on our brand new message board, and leave us all of your messages there. Alrighty guys, after a song, we'll come back with some of the messages of support and love sent in to us from our MA family to encourage those who have been affected by the ferry disaster here in Korea. Here is 얼음들 by 악동 Musician.
붉은 해가 세수하던 파란